Hello and welcome to this presentation on the Curriculum Development Framework, a tool for innovative programme development. My name is Paul Steins and I will take you through this presentation. Just a brief outline of what we'll go through. Curriculum development is the process through which an educational programme is planned, designed and approved for delivery. A programme of education and training is a process by which a learner acquires knowledge, skill or competence and includes a course of study and a course of instruction. The challenge with curriculum development: a programme of education is accredited by a national organisation, and this is normally for a certain period of time. In computing, technology is pervasive and changes rapidly, as demonstrated in Gardner's hypercurve and the TOB index. Accredited programmes can go out of date, and maintaining the relevancy of the students' knowledge, skills and competence to the needs of the economy is a challenge. The aim of this research is to investigate if a curriculum development framework allows educators to integrate various aspects of programme development such as pedagogical innovation, student success and industry feedback to create a programme that provides graduates with the relevant knowledge, skills and competence to ensure their employability in the economy. Now look at the limitations. Partly national organisations, accrediting organisations such as QQI in Ireland, quality qualifications in Ireland, maintain quality and accountability and are often based on statutory law. They in turn will influence curriculum development based on the national qualifications framework and around their policies and criteria for validating programmes of education. So that influences the curriculum development we'll discuss in this presentation. The validation criteria that is used is a learning outcomes approach, where the curriculum is built on knowledge, skills and competence, and it also strengthens the link between the curriculum and the economy. The curriculum development framework consists of 5 phases that may be used in the complete life cycle for managing, creating and reviewing programmes of education. The phases consist of: phase 1, it's the management structures; phase 2, stakeholder consultation. In the next series of slides we'll then look at phase 3, which is curriculum review, curriculum development, and the final phase, curriculum validation. The management structure for curriculum development is created in phase 1. The process is project managed by a project steering group consisting of senior academic leaders and the Director of Quality Assurance. The project steering committee is responsible for defining the terms of reference. The programme committee ensures the relevancy and quality of the curriculum development. The higher education providers' quality assurance processes apply to the curriculum development. The programme committee team explores the terms of reference as part of the curriculum development. In phase 2, stakeholder consultation contains 3 activities, namely work analysis, market analysis and stakeholder consultation. Work analysis focuses on identifying the needs of the economy through future competence and skills shortages and current advertised vacancies. This analysis is aligned to the school's strategy for curriculum development. Future competence and skills shortages are identified in national reports. Current advertised vacancies provide insight into the potential roles of graduates and the requirements, technical and transferable skills and education required to carry out these roles. This information is used to create an occupational profile that a graduate will attain. An approach to linking the relevancy of the programme of education to the needs of the economy is by emphasising the programme learn outcomes and the knowledge, skills and competence that is designed into the curriculum under development. A market analysis of national and international academic programmes offered by higher education providers will provide confidence in the programme title, programme level, programme structure, the modules, the credit value of the modules under consideration. A frequency analysis of modules will provide insight into modules with a higher probability of being included into the curriculum structure. Professional and standard bodies will also provide curricular recommendations. In activity 2.3, stakeholder analysis, stakeholders will provide feedback on curriculum development. Stakeholders can include but not limited to faculty, current students, past students, services within the college such as student services, including the disability support, student counselling and wellness services, academic support, the office, library, IT, Students' Union, the International Office, Marketing Department, so on and so forth. Stakeholders such as the Disability Officer can provide insights into suitable assessments for a wide range of students with disabilities. Student and Counselling and Wellness Service can provide insight into any potential curriculum structures that could provide increased stress to a student. The Marketing Department can provide guidance on suitable programs that would be of interest to potential students. This includes advice on a suitable program titles and content for the program. Curriculum Development Framework Phase 3. In Phase 3, curriculum review is applicable if the curriculum has been in use for a period of time. This phase may be skipped if it is for new curriculum development. The goal of this phase is to provide a critical review of the current academic curriculum under revalidation. The critical review is broadly divided into the following categories: an analysis of enrolment and applications, the characteristics of learners on the program, an analysis of attrition, transfer, progression and completion statistics, an analysis of grades and degree award classifications, destinations of graduates, external examiner reports and an analysis, and an overview of the current structure and workload involved in the program. The review will consider baseline quantitative and qualitative data that should be captured during the previous review. Baseline data typically comes from application data, enrolment data, attrition, transfer, progression and completion data, yearly exam results, external examiner reports, analysis of grades and award classifications, and benchmarking them against corresponding results published by other higher education providers, destinations of learners who have graduated, weekly attendance statistics by module. The academic governance structure that manages the program can provide qualitative data such as school minutes, program committee minutes, minutes of class representative meetings, annual monitoring reports, formal and informal complaints. The review provides insights into trends and possible issues with the current academic curriculum. Curriculum Development Framework Phase 4 contains 4 activities, namely curriculum development strategies, industry panel review, curriculum development and program development. The strategies for curriculum development are devised to address the outcome of the analysis and feedback from stakeholders. The strategies are drawn from the occupational profile, insights from the national and international programs, stakeholder feedback and issues with curriculum identified in the program review self-evaluation. The strategies, analysis and feedback are translated into the program learning outcomes, curriculum structure and high-level module descriptors, including module learning outcomes. The industry panel review activity is to ensure that the learning outcomes, program structure and high-level module descriptors will provide students with the knowledge, skills and competence that are relevant to the needs of the economy. The goal of this activity is to get an endorsement of the program from the industry panel. Curriculum development involves the faculty from the program committee developing their module descriptors in terms of module aims and outcomes, objectives, minimum intended module learning outcomes, the rationale for inclusion of the module in the program, and its contribution to the overall minimum intended programming learning outcomes. Information provided to learners about the module. It will also look at module content, the organisation and structure, the module teaching, learning and strategy, the module teaching and learning strategy, the timetabling, learner effort and credit, the work-based learning and practice element. It will also look at e-learning and the module physical resource requirements. It will also include specifications for module staffing requirements, the module assessment, module reassessment, reading lists and other information resources and sample assessment materials. The module teaching and learning strategy allows for the inclusion of pedagogic innovation that informs new forms of teaching, learning and assessment. Program development involves the program director completing the program and including sections that relate to higher education provider details. There are numerous sections detailed in the report. An output of this activity is a program self-evaluation against criteria. This document evaluates the program based on criteria such as, for example, criteria 1, the provider is eligible to apply for validation of the program. Criteria 2, the program objectives and outcomes are clear and consistent with the awards sought. There are 12 criteria that are detailed in the research paper accompanying the slides. Curriculum development phase 5. The validation panel will evaluate the program in 3 sessions that address the criteria for evaluation. The sessions are, for session 1, it looks at the program rationale and overall structure, which covers criteria 2, 3 and 4. In session 2, it looks at the curriculum, learning, teaching and assessment. And in session 3, it looks at resourcing and supports for learners. So for more details on what criteria are addressed, it's in the research report that accompanies this presentation. The academic leader delivers an initial presentation to set the scene. The presentation focuses on the school curriculum development strategy, the stakeholder demand for the programme, and the purpose of the programme of education, with a focus particularly on the role of graduates from the programme. It also looks at curriculum development strategies drawn from phase 2 and 3 of the framework. The programme structure highlighting the changes as a result of the curriculum development strategies. The panel will conclude and write an independent programme review report that highlights any conditions and recommendations to the validation. The programme committee are required to make the necessary updates to the programme documentation and write a response to the programme review report. The curriculum development framework was applied to 4 programmes in the School of Computing at the National College of Ireland. The 3 programmes undergoing a programme revalidation are the BSc Honours in Computing, Higher Certificate in Computing and the Higher Diploma in Computing. There is also a requirement to create a new programme of education, which is the Certificate in Computing. In the first phase of the methodology, the project steering committee consisted of the senior academic leaders and quality assurance. So it comprised of the Dean and Vice Dean of School, the Director of Quality Assurance, and the Programme Directors that chairs each of the programmes, or chairs the programme committees. The revalidation and validation of new programmes of education was undertaken in accordance with NCI's internal quality assurance processes, which are in turn informed by QQI's core statutory quality assurance guidelines and QQI's policies and criteria for the validation of programmes of education and training. The Project Steering Committee were tasked with creating terms of reference such as, for example, proposals for the modifications of the programmes should take NCI's academic strategy into consideration and articulate how graduates of the programme will gain the attributes stated within that strategy. Future skills shortages were identified by publications from the expert group on future skill needs, which highlighted a need for people with the skills in digital business transformation, or in particular in specializations in AI and blockchain. Also taking a look at advertised vacancies, for example on websites, jobs advertised for software engineers included skills in Java programming, test-driven development. It did highlight typical qualifications like a BSc Honours in Computing, and where they can work collaboratively in a team. Professional standards bodies such as the ACM provided curriculum recommendations. The TOB index would provide recommendations of what programming languages are the most popular programming languages to use in a program. Also, an analysis of similar programs was researched nationally, such as UCD in Ireland, or internationally taking a look at program structures in Cambridge to give a feel for typical modules that would exist in these programs. Also taking into consideration stakeholders who ranged from students, colleges of further education, taking a look at national systems where secondary school students apply to go to 3rd level through the CAO. All of that gives a sense of the demand for the program. It's also, student demand would also be evidenced by any international collaborations with universities in perhaps India or China, and then also any advanced standing arrangements with colleges of further education, where progression routes are provided for their students to go on into 3rd level. For the analysis of enrolment and applications, the trend for the total number of applications for the BSc Honours in Computing is reflective of the broad sectorial trend, which has seen a reduction in the numbers of students going into ICT. Taking a look at registration data, particularly one aspect is the deferral rate. Look for particular trends. For example, for part-time students, the percentage of deferred students and the frequency of years for deferring is higher in part-time students. And these indicate maybe a need for a strategy to restructure part-time courses from 2 semesters to 3 semesters. Taking a look at the characteristics of learners on the programme. One aspect of characteristics is the gender balance, and it's a need to look at that in line with sector trends, which in our case it tends to favour, in computing it tends to favour males. Female students are generally underrepresented in computing, but within NCI it's important to look at the gender balance, for example pursuing a TINA Swan Charter, which aims to encourage and recognise the commitment to advance the careers of women in science, technology, engineering, maths and medicine. For an analysis of attrition, transfer, progression and completion statistics, the completion rates for the full-time programme, look for indications. For example, in year 4 it has the lowest completion rate, so that indicates maybe a need to look at a strategy to look at the whole 4th year experience as part of the programme revalidation. In 4th year, several modules in a particular area of a specialisation had a high failure rate. That indicates a need to look before 4th year into other modules to see how those specialisations can be further strengthened. And that leads to a strategy to support modules that are in a specialisation. For destinations of graduates, the majority of graduates are employed in areas such as software development or IT technical support and testing. The current programme structure handles testing in a limited way, and that would indicate a need to look at a strategy for testing. For external examiner reports, an analysis would indicate recommendations that they've made in the past, for example, for assessment around refining grading rubrics. For the analysis of curriculum development strategies, it really involves combining all these strategies that have been identified so far, and that in turn will then shape the new curriculum. So for example, the strategies identified previously were the programming strengthening, undergraduate integration, testing, information systems, 4th year experience, 4th year specialisation. Details of each of those strategies is documented in the research report. The industry panel helped to refine the programme structure and content at a more granular level. The idea too is to look for a defining statement from the industry panel and tied into a role. So for example, in the panel for computing, they believed that after the 4th year, graduates would be qualified to work in a software development role. For curriculum development, it involved assigning faculty to modules and providing a workshop on the use of tools for creating the modules, such as through Akari curriculum management. The faculty are then responsible for creating the module descriptors, including identifying pedagogic innovations that they want to bring in as part of their teaching and learning strategy. Such examples are the flipped classroom pedagogy in mathematics. For program development, the activity on program development involved the program team creating the program and integrating the modules. The program director would complete the mapping of the program learning outcomes to the module learning outcomes. Details of and an example of that mapping is in the research paper accompanying this presentation. For the curriculum, for the validation, basically the program director identified academics and industry representatives that could take part as panel members, as members of the panel validation. Their role is to undertake a review of the documentation provided by the program team. They take part in a site visit and produce an independent evaluation report that represents the dialogue between NCI and the panel, the validation panel, on the day of the site visit. It also will document the panel's recommendations of the validation and their conditions and recommendations for the programs of education. The selection criteria for the academics is that on the panel was to ensure that the academic was a program director co-delivering or delivering on a similar program, and that also it was important to identify that there was no gender bias. So this slide shows the results of the validation panel. And whilst there are some conditions and recommendations, they do not affect the structure of the modules created in the curriculum development framework. So this was a very positive outcome. It's also a positive indication that the framework is very effective. Also, one of the goals was to ensure that graduates were employable. So with this particular framework, it won't be possible to check that yet, but that will be done over the next 5 years as graduates go through the program. However, this framework refined over 18 years of practice, and in the previous iteration of the program review for these programs, The employability rate from 2015 to 2018 ranged from 88 to 96%. So we are confident that the employability rate from these programs is going to continue to be quite high. So in conclusion, the research presented here was a curriculum development framework that allows educators to integrate various aspects of program development, such as pedagogical innovation, student success, and industry feedback to create a program that provides graduates with the relevant knowledge, skills, and competence to ensure their employability in the economy. The key finding from this evaluation arises from the panel visit, which indicates a successful revalidation of 3 programs and a validation of 1 new program with no impacts on the curriculum development. Future work can explore the design and implementation of a formalized and machine understandable support tool around the 5 phases of the CDF process model, building on research in curriculum development automation and to create an ontology-driven support tool that would be capable of curriculum development automation. Thank you.